Your phone is ringing. You see the name. You know the person. There's nothing wrong, no reason to panic. But something in your chest tightens anyway. You stare at the screen until it stops. Then you sit there, relieved, and immediately guilty. You tell yourself you'll call back. You don't. You send a text instead. Hey, sorry I missed you. Everything okay? And somewhere in the back of your mind, you already know. This is a pattern. It's not just that one call. It's the voicemail you haven't listened to in 4 days. It's the contact you've been meaning to call back for 3 weeks. It's the way your stomach drops when someone says, just give me a call later. You smile and say sure, but inside you're already dreading it. And the strange part? It's not that you don't care about people. You actually care a lot. You think about them. You want to connect. But there's something about a phone call specifically, that live, unscripted, no editing allowed conversation, that feels like standing at the edge of something uncertain. You're not shy, necessarily. You're not antisocial. You function just fine in real life. But phone calls? They feel like a performance you didn't rehearse for. Here's where it gets interesting and a little uncomfortable. When you avoid a phone call, it rarely feels like avoidance. It feels like timing. I'll call when I'm in the right headspace. I don't want to seem rushed. I need to be in a quiet place first. The reasons are always reasonable. That's the trick. But underneath those reasons is something quieter, a kind of low-level anxiety that you might not even have a name for. A fear not of the person, but of the unpredictability of the call itself. Because here's what a phone call actually demands. Full presence, instant response, zero control over where the conversation goes. No backspace, no thinking for 30 seconds before you reply. No emoji to soften the tone when you said something slightly off. You have to just show up, raw, in real time. And for some people, that's easy, natural even. For others, for you, it feels like being asked to improvise on a stage you didn't sign up for. There's a psychological concept called anticipatory anxiety. It's not anxiety about what's happening right now. It's anxiety about what might happen. The imagined conversation plays out in your head before you even dial, and your brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagining something and actually experiencing it. The stress response activates either way. Researchers studying social anxiety have found that for many people, the anticipation of a social interaction is consistently more distressing than the interaction itself. You build it up. You imagine silence or saying the wrong thing, or being caught off guard by a question you're not ready for. You run the worst version of the call on repeat, and your nervous system responds as if that version is real. So by the time the phone actually rings, you've already been through an exhausting rehearsal of everything that could go wrong. The call lasts 4 minutes. The dread lasted 2 days. But here's what I want you to sit with for a moment. This isn't weakness. It's actually a sign of a mind that cares deeply about how it shows up for other people. People who avoid phone calls are often the same people who reread their texts before sending, who replay conversations afterward, wondering if they said the right thing, who feel a genuine sense of responsibility for how they come across. That's not dysfunction, that's depth. The avoidance isn't because you don't care. It's because you care so much that the pressure of real-time, unedited connection feels too high stakes to get wrong. Think about it this way. A text gives you time to think, time to be intentional, to be the version of yourself, thoughtful and clear and articulate. A phone call strips that away. And for someone who puts a lot of weight on words, on tone, on being understood, losing that control isn't a small thing. There's also something worth naming here that almost no one talks about. We live in an era that quietly rewards asynchronous communication. We've been slowly, almost invisibly, trained to communicate in ways that allow for editing, pausing, and curating. For years now. And the brain adapts. It finds a rhythm in the delay, in the buffer. So when a phone call comes, this ancient, immediate, no-buffer form of connection, it's not just mildly inconvenient. It feels like switching from walking to sprinting without warming up first. Your nervous system hasn't been trained for the immediacy anymore. You're not broken. You're adapted. Just adapted to a different rhythm. And maybe, just maybe, the people who struggle most with phone calls are the ones who feel things in a more layered way, who need a beat before they respond, not because they have nothing to say, but because what they want to say actually matters to them. That pause before you answer, that's not hesitation, that's consideration. Not everyone has that. So if you've been quietly carrying some shame around this feeling like you're somehow socially behind, or that something's wrong with you because a ringing phone makes you anxious, I want you to gently set that down. You're not avoiding connection. You're protecting the quality of it. There's a difference between someone who doesn't care enough to call back and someone who cares so much about the conversation that they freeze before it starts. The world tends to see both the same way, but they're not the same at all. The phone calls you've missed, the ones you've been meaning to return, the ones you've spent hours dreading, they're not proof that you're bad at being human. They're proof that being human costs you something, that you feel the weight of showing up, that you take connection seriously, even when your behavior doesn't always reflect that. And that awareness, that discomfort, is actually where change begins. Not from shame, not from forcing yourself to just get over it, but from understanding what's really happening inside you when that screen lights up. You don't have to become someone who loves phone calls, but you might be able to make peace with the discomfort, to recognize the anxiety for what it is, a pattern, not a truth, a habit of the nervous system, not a reflection of who you are. And the next time your phone rings and your chest tightens, pause. Take a breath, notice the dread without feeding it. Sometimes you'll answer, sometimes you won't. But either way, you'll understand yourself a little more clearly, and that quietly is everything.